This is Madelyn Rohrer, and I thank you for visiting my YouTube channel. We've got lots of new items to post in 2020, starting with a collage of clips from my Touched by Tennessee book, which is going to be introduced as an audiobook in just a couple of weeks. So here you can get a preview of what each of the stories is about. We will also be posting information very shortly on how to access a download of Bert the Owlbat from my website. Bert the Owlbat is the second book of my Critter series for children. Plus, there's a brand new Bert the Owlbat ornament available, created by Blue River Studio in Elizabethton, Tennessee. Later this year, I will be releasing the third book of the Critter series, and that one is going to be about a mischievous ferret. Also later this year, the sequel to my novel, Shoes in the River, is going to be published. And if you've already read Shoes in the River, which was released in 2015, and have been patiently waiting for the sequel, you're probably saying, well, it's about time. And I agree. So please log into my website at storytellermadelynrohrer.com to find information on how to order any of my books or the special children's ornaments. But before you leave here, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and remember to hit the bell. That will notify you when new items have been added. Thank you again for visiting, and I hope you have an enjoyable day. A story with no beginning and no end. It was May 10th, 1876. And bells were ringing out all over Philadelphia. The city was rippling with excitement as President Ulysses S. Grant arrived to formally open the first day of the largest fair the world had ever seen. And it was in celebration of our country's 100th birthday. It was a U.S. Centennial Exposition. Over 186,000 people would stream through its gates on the first day alone. It was also not quite 12 years since the end of our Civil War, the assassination of a president, the impeachment of another president, Reconstruction, and healing a war-torn country. And the world was watching. Eliza and the not-so-peaceful river. It had been a long journey by wagon train, almost 400 miles from Philadelphia to the settlement of New Madrid in the growing Louisiana Territory, and the end was in sight. They could see it, perched high on a bank on the other side of the mighty Mississippi River. All they had to do was cross over. The boat traffic moved alongside of them as they headed to the crossing point. Oh, everyone was waving to them, the people on the river and the people above it. It was a wonderful reception from their new friends and neighbors. And the land, well, it was beautiful, at least initially. But it held dangers waiting to be unleashed. 19 Minutes is a first-place, prize-winning story about an ordinary, modern-day family in a small Tennessee town who were looking forward to taking their new houseboat out on the lake for its inaugural run. It was a beautiful spring day, not necessarily warm, but the sun was shining, making it feel warmer than it really was. Their boat, which they named Makin' Memories 2, was gliding through the water perfectly. Everything was in order for an enjoyable day on the lake. But it all changed in an instant. Still Transfer is the story of a family who lived and still lives the American dream. It started in 1927 with the unlikely marriage of two people who just happened to fall in love. Rachel was the daughter of a well-to-do family who owned a very large farm. She was well educated, had a good head for business, fashionable in dress, and had a passion for riding and showing horses. Tom was the son of sharecroppers who worked on the farm, who quit school in the 3rd grade, a practice not uncommon in sharecropper families. He was a good worker with a strong back and was needed in the fields to help his family make a living. A handsome young man with a passion for wrestling and boxing. Their combination of strength and business acumen built a business that survived in tough times, grew in good times, and contributed to our country's victory in World War II. The automobile and Lillian. Lillian was a typically energetic little girl, dressing up in her mother's clothes, watching her mother cook, learning to knit and sew. But when her father headed for the garage, she was right behind him. Cars held a special fascination for her. She was 8 years old when she first said, "Dad, can I help?" And he let her. It was the beginning of a lifelong love affair, a huge collection of cars and parts, and a very special extended family. Hog Wild. Tennessee has been described as a place where East meets West and North meets South. This crossroads state has seen much history in the making and has been a welcoming place for all who choose to call it home. There are certain residents of this fair state, however, who are not welcome. Although they were born there, they are not accepted as native. They are long-legged, lean, hairy, and extremely ugly. Wild hogs. But we are not alone. They have overstepped their welcome in 39 other states and are on the doorsteps of 10 more. They arrived in the 1500s with Spanish explorers who pampered, protected, and populated them as an anticipated source of food when local game was not available. Whoever would have thought that those 13 cute little piglets brought onto American soil by Hernando de Soto would affect tribes of Native Americans across the country, our landscape, ecoclimate, and even wreak havoc in the financial district of New York City. Daring to be different. It was 1838, at harvest time in Oswego, New York, a town on the southern shore of Lake Ontario. 6-year-old Mary Walker pulled on a pair of boys' breeches and a boy's shirt, tied her hair back, and went downstairs to join her brothers and 4 sisters for breakfast. All 5 girls were dressed in boys' clothing and had their long hair tied back. It was sensible clothing for the girls as they worked on the family farm. Common sense ran deep in the Walker family, and especially for Mary, who would become a very important and influential woman in a man's world. She would redefine the role of women in education, medicine, the military, and in society. For the love of her country and for the love of her fellow man and woman, she dared to be different.